wrestling fans. Welcome to the first ever episode of 360 Wrestling Podcast TV for Friday, January 6th, 2017. And not only will this be on YouTube, but also streaming live right now on the Live.me app. And on this first episode, I'm just going to talk about some of the things that happened during this week in pro wrestling. But first, before I start talking about that, I just want to say I know there are a lot of wrestling shows on YouTube that people do, and I'm sure this will probably be the worst, but I like doing it anyway. Just like my podcast is probably the worst podcast in the world. All of them that I host are, but it's fun, and I like hosting the podcast, and hopefully I will like doing this new YouTube show as well. Hopefully it will work out. And now let's get started. It was quite a busy week in pro wrestling, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, of course, holding Wrestle Kingdom 11, and what a show that was. I did a live stream right here on Live.me the other day talking about some of it, so I won't go over it too much again. But great main event. Kazuchika Okada and Kenny Omega for the IWGP Championship. Fantastic match. The Young Bucks and Roppongi Vice also having a good match. The Intercontinental Championship match, of course, also very good. And also, some big TNA news that broke yesterday, or the day before, I should say, and about Anthem Sports now having control of the promotion. And then yesterday, some more news came out. It was reported by ProWrestlingSheet.com about Jeff Jarrett returning to TNA as an executive consultant. And last night had the first Impact Wrestling of 2017 live on Pop, which I thought was a very good episode. The main event saw Eddie Edwards retain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in the main event over Lashley, and the return of Edwards' tag team partner Davey Richards. Now the Wolves, both the Wolves are back in TNA, so of course that was good to see. And WWE, of course, signing some new female talent. Heidi Lovelace was one of them. Kimberly and others. They're checked into the Performance Center. So that's interesting to see what happens there. And speaking of WWE, NXT, it was put out yesterday that Chris Hero is now back in NXT. It was already reported a while back, but first he denied it. And I guess he's going to go back to being Cassius Ohno again in NXT. It's interesting to see what will happen this WWE run for him. Hopefully it will be better than his last, but we'll just have to wait and see. And go back to Wrestle Kingdom. It was reported by ProWrestlingSheet.com that days before Wrestle Kingdom, Kyle O'Reilly turned down a new contract for Ring of Honor. And it's not official that he's gone from the company just yet. He could resign, but he turned down the offer that was offered to him. So you never know. And which of course he dropped the Ring of Honor World title to Adam Cole at Wrestle Kingdom, so that added more fuel to the speculation about him maybe leaving ROH. So we'll just have to stay tuned, see what happens there. And the video that's online now, Ric Flair, 67 years old, deadlifting 400 pounds. That's available on ProWrestlingSheet.com if you want to go check that video out. And New Japan Pro Wrestling also announced that they're going to have what is called a G1 special here in the United States in the summer in Los Angeles. I'm sure those shows will be on NJPWWorld.com. And tonight, TNA has a one-night only live pay-per-view, actually. And the card for the pay-per-view tonight for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, Eddie Edwards defending against EC3. And Edwards' partner, the other half of the Wolves, Davey Richards, who just returned last night on Impact Wrestling, will be taking on Bobby Lashley. The TNA World Tag Team Championships will be on the line as the Broken Hardys defend against Eli Drake and a mystery partner. The Knockouts Championship will also be on the line. Sienna, also known as Allison Kay, Michigan's own, will be taking on the Knockouts champion Rosemary. Should be a very good match. And for everybody here in Michigan, you can see Sienna right here in Taylor at the Taylortown Trade Center, January 21st, for Clash Wrestling Seize the Day 10. Don't miss that. And a four-way match for the X Division Championship. All know who's going to be in it is DJZ defending the championship against three other superstars. Just as TBA, what I'm reading here now. And no holds barred match for the Impact. I don't know if it is a title match, but the Impact Grand Champion Moose will be taking on the Miracle Mike Bennett, which should be a very good match. And that is the card for TNA's one night only live pay-per-view tonight. Should be a good show. Normally, the one night onlys are taped in advance quite a bit. They usually do some beginning of the year, then some in the middle. But this one is live tonight on pay-per-view, $14.99 I believe. So order on your cable or satellite. If you can't order either that way or get the Fight TV app. Order it that way. Also a good way to watch the pay-per-view. And that's it for this first episode of 360 Wrestling Podcast TV. I just wanted to try it out. Hopefully we'll be doing more episodes, much more. And hopefully, I know they're not going to be good, but hopefully I won't get too bad of comments on YouTube. People telling me how bad I am. But it's fun for me to do, so I'm going to do it anyway. And like I said, hope to have more up soon. And remember, 360 Wrestling Podcast, either on Spreaker or Blog Talk Radio. But the best way to keep up is you can like 360 Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and the Facebook group. And the podcast that is all about the Collective League of Adrenaline, Strength, and Honor, Clash Wrestling 360, also on Facebook. And remember, follow on Twitter at 360 Wrestling Pod and Instagram, also 360 Wrestling Podcast. And if you have any questions, comments, whatever, you can email LB360 Wrestling Fanatic at gmail.com. And I hope to bring the 360 TBT podcast back, where I look back at a past show, recap it, and if you have a suggestion of an old show, pay-per-view, whatever, that you think I should talk about on that show, email, once again, lb360wrestlingfanatic at gmail.com. So, until the next episode, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.